Following our recent arbitration roadshows through Australia with our counterparts from London and Singapore, we had another busy week last week in relation to international arbitration with Sydney Arbitration Week. And I'm here with Jim Morrison from our International Arbitration Group to talk about some of the highlights of that week. A couple of highlights I just want to mention at the start from the main conference. There was firstly a very interesting session on investment treaty arbitration, and the essential theme to emerge from that was that although we haven't seen many claims in the region, investment treaty protection remains extremely important and essential to give business confidence when investing in emerging market economies, and provides a deterrent against governments acting in a way to undermine the value of the investment. The second interesting session from the main conference was a discussion about Australia's place as a seat for international arbitration. And there was a general consensus that Australia scores extremely well when compared with very well-established seats such as Singapore and Hong Kong, the only issue being the tyranny of distance. And there was an interesting discussion about that because it's generally acknowledged that parties can specify a venue different to the seat of arbitration in their arbitration agreement. And that can overcome some of the difficulties with the distance. And we have in fact experienced in our group recently, we've been acting in matters where the seat is London and the hearing has taken place in Singapore, and in another case recently where the seat was Singapore and the hearing in fact took place in Melbourne. Apart from that, there were a number of conferences that we held internally at Allens, and one of those was a forum, an ICC forum on the subject of emergency arbitrators. And Jim, do you want to talk about that forum? We've had some great feedback in relation to that.
Thanks, Andrea. The ICC Emergency Arbitrator event was enormously successful. And one of the main reasons for that, I think, was that it provided a very practical and step-by-step guide to the emergency arbitrator procedure. It was based on a mock arbitration case involving an international sale of goods from a company in Singapore and Australia. And I was lucky enough to be the counsel for the respondent. What we are hearing from our clients in terms of the things they like about the emergency arbitrator procedure is the fact that it is now providing an alternative option to obtain urgent relief where it's not possible or there are some difficulties in getting it from a state court or an arbitral tribunal. What we heard from the panel during that session was that the emergency arbitrator procedure is proving to be quite effective. The feedback has been that in most cases, in practical terms, there has been voluntary compliance with the orders of the emergency arbitrator, and that makes sense because it's not advisable to act contrary to that order because the tribunal in the subsequent case may draw adverse inferences. We also heard that there are examples of the orders of emergency arbitrators being enforced in state courts in some jurisdictions, which is also an interesting development.
Yes, I think it was a very valuable week all up, and I think what this highlights is that there's a lot of sharing of ideas in relation to international arbitration, a lot of participants with experiences that they're also able to share. And we're very excited at Allens, together with Linklaters, to be foundation sponsors of ICA 2018. ICA 2018 is a major international, a biennial international conference in relation to international arbitration, which attracts typically 1,000 experienced arbitrators and practitioners from all over the world. And Sydney has fortunate to be host to that conference in 2018. And as foundation sponsors, we're very involved in the planning of that conference. And in fact, planning is already underway. If you want to find out anything more about either ICA 2018 or any of the events or indeed our international arbitration practice, please feel free to get in contact with our team.